Good morning everyone out there on YouTube. My name is Jared and this is my channel Ms.Mildew. This video is going to cover chasing down a leak in my AC system of my 2001 Ford F250. Essentially we're going to be just replacing gaskets as we go along and see if that fixes the problem. Without further ado, let's get started. So the situation is thus. This thing has had a slow leak for over a year and I keep band-aiding it by just throwing more Freon in it. The weather is cooling down now, so I finally have an opportunity to work on this. So I actually have a recovery machine. So I was able to recover the Freon that was still in the system and not vent the atmosphere. Don't vent the atmosphere, that's not nice. And now we're going to start just going into the system with the various connections that I can actually get to and replacing gaskets. I purchased a O-ring and gasket kit at the local part house. It's a Murray 26820. Contains all the fixings. So we're just gonna start getting into stuff and alright, so from what I remember, just about everything in the system is held together with 13mm bolts. So that's what that was, a deep well 13. Gonna do this in phases where we're gonna replace stuff that we can easily see first. And then we're gonna pull a vacuum on it again and see if one of those was the leak. Because it's leaking fast enough that it's a problem, but it's slow enough that we can't hear the leak when it's under vacuum. So just gonna have to kind of work our way through. Yep, that still had some vacuum on it. Start here. This has a wowzers that is worn.
I figured that was a bad one because of the hose comes down and the whole thing's vibrating, so it's pulling.
Let me go get my pick. I'll be right back. All right, let's get this guy out. Okay. So you've got this oil charge that you bought by accident. So there we go. Here is the seal that came out. I'm going to look in my kit and see if there is a beveled seal. If there is not a beveled seal, that means this thing got way warped over its 270,000 mile lifetime. Alright, let me get you guys caught up. So this is the gasket that came out. You see how it's kind of beveled? That's from 20 years of sitting there. So what I had to do is there are, in front of you on the camera, there are two separate AC O-ring kits. One I purchased at the parts store, from two different parts stores. Neither of them are right. This is one for OBS style Fords, and this is the one that's supposed to be for 2001, but it includes these things, and one of these is supposed to be for the accumulator, which the accumulator is the cylinder looking thing over here, in case you didn't know, and it's supposed to go to this connection here, and it doesn't work. It just does not work. It's not designed that way. So what I found is, I think these are for 2011 and up F-Series. Don't really work. So at the end of the day, what I did is I found that the fattest O-ring I could find that has the same interior diameter of this guy, threw it on there, and I just put vacuum on it to see what happens, and it vacuumed down to about 30 inches of mercury, which is what you want. And it's been 10-15 minutes. It still has a slight leak, but it's better. It was able to vacuum down to, you can't see that at all because of the sun, but first time we did it, it vacuumed down to 25 inches of mercury. This time it was able to vacuum down to 28 inches of mercury. So, progress. So basically, between these two O-ring kits, I'm going to go through all the O-rings see what I can do with those. So the next ones I targeted are the ones that actually connect to the condenser. And if you don't know, the condenser is this radiator looking thing. It's going to be behind the grill, front of the truck, but it's not part of your coolant system. It is specifically for the air conditioner, so the air conditioner can dump heat. And it has a double fitting right here. And to get to this double fitting, there's a plastic piece right here that has to come off. It has a bunch of push pins. One there, here, 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 and there. So there's a bunch. You can use a trim tool to get those out. In case you have no earthly clue what I'm talking about, this is the piece right here. Let's lay this out straight so you can see it. Sits across the top there. It makes a great tool tray, but take it out for now. But now that it's out, we have access to the condenser connection so that we can redo the O-rings there. And it appears it is a 13 millimeter here. So we'll get this off and we'll take a look at those O-rings. Okay guys, this is the next one that came off. It is a brown color. That's fine. One thing to note, you notice I got a giant sea of green O-rings in front of me. There's a reason for that. These are what are called HNBR O-rings, meaning they're a special kind of nitrile O-ring which is required for R134A applications. You can't use the older black ones that you may have found in your like 80s and earlier vehicles for R12. Those won't work with R134A. Eventually they'll crap out in wonderful ways. So the standard they chose with this green, but you can get them in other colors from the factory if the factory so chooses. But when you get them in the aftermarket, if you want to make sure they're HNBRs, which is what you need, get the green. That being said, we got one from either kit right here. It'll fit, so we'll go ahead and put that on. You'll need to coat it in some PAG oil so it sits in smooth. I happen to have this left over from another project. This is PAG 46, which is R134A compliant. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it in this PAG oil that I put in the lid there and just kind of make sure the entire O-ring is lubed up, and then I'll put the O-ring on. Alright, moving on to the next target. This is the line that goes from the dryer or the accumulator into the evaporator, which is the radiator kind of thing that's inside of here. You need a 27 for the smaller of the two, and you need a 32 millimeter for this guy. And you probably want to hit it with some lube. Mine was rusted, and it was a major battle to get it loose. I actually, you probably can't see it from this angle, but I wound up kinking, or at least creasing, this line to the evaporator, and I hope it's still okay. But that happened because I was dumb and I turned this and I didn't have the offsetting wrench in place, so this hollow tube just went wah, so pay attention to that. But I've got the O-ring over here on the bench, and it too has a bevel to it from being squished for 20 odd years, and I don't believe it's supposed to look like that. I think it started out life a round O-ring. And I looked through my bags, and this is the closest thing I could find. It's smaller, but it has the same inner diameter. It's a little thicker, which I don't mind, and that's the one that's going to go in once we finish cleaning the schmutz we found that was causing it to jam up so tight. We had to use Croil to get it loose. But it's got rust, particularly on the passenger side of the connector on the right side. There's a lot of rust in there, so we're going to clean all that out so this will thread back on smoothly. And then we'll vacuum test it. Good morning, everyone. today is a new day. So as you can see, this is my vacuum machine I picked up on Facebook. But the important thing here is we're vacuuming down. We're at 29.9 inches of mercury. So that's essentially, that is one vacuum, or not, it's not even, it's vacuum. We're at sea level, so that's 14.7 psi. It is now holding a good vacuum. I let the truck sit under vacuum for multiple days and it didn't lose anything. So we're finally going to do a vacuum and fill. And we're almost done with the vacuum cycle here, and then I'll turn the truck on and let it fill, and that should be it. Good evening, everyone. Today is the end of a new day. And I just wanted to give an update as far as, is the air conditioner holding up? Did I actually fix the leak? And answer is yeah, I think I did. It is now mid-December, and I finished repairs on the AC, would have been mid-October, I want to say. And then I didn't think much of it from that point in time. And then the other day, it's been pretty mild here. Went and had to use the air conditioner, and sure enough, it turned on and it blew nice and cold. And I mean, I would have thought if I didn't have the leak addressed that it would have leaked down and been gone by then, because I was going through a couple of cans of Freon about every month, month and a half. But it worked fine. I did not hear it cycling under load, because you can have a case where you sit at idle and it feels ice cold, and that's great, and you don't hear it cycling because it's low on Freon. But then once the engine comes under load, where you need more Freon to maintain temp, you'll hear it start to cycle. That, because it's low, and I didn't hear that. So I want to say that this one's licked. Alrighty folks, that's going to do it for this episode where we repaired the air conditioning on my 2001 Ford F250 with the 5.4 liter engine. If you found this video interesting, if you found it useful, if you found it entertaining, please consider like, share, and subscribing. That does help grow the channel, which allows me to do what I do. And also, please leave a comment. I like to read them, I like to reply to them, and I like to learn from them. And also, guys, I make mistakes, so you don't have to. Learn from my mistakes. That's why part of why I do what I do. I'll catch you guys next episode.